Hi, this is Amanda from Map Dynamics, and today I'm going to show you how to set up registration for your show. So once you've logged in and selected your show, you're going to go to this registration and orders, registration settings. This is where you will set up the bulk of the things you need to do for registration. So let's just go ahead and go through these steps one by one. Step 1, select a registration type. So you can turn registration off by choosing this no online registration, or you can turn it on by choosing one of these two types. This first one, exhibitor buys booths, automatically assigns on the map. This is kind of the regular setting where they log on, select a booth, go through the checkout, pay for it, and once their payment is confirmed, they are automatically assigned to that booth. No one else can buy it. It's done. And then you can choose how many booths you want them to be able to buy. If people are only allowed to have one booth, you choose one. If they can buy as many booths as they want, you can choose unlimited. Option 2, exhibitor selects booth choices, show manager finalizes assignment. That means that they log on, they look at the map, they select several choices for the booth. So they say, well, okay, I really want to be on this row, so I'll select some booths on this row, and then you as the show manager will assign them their final booth. So you choose how many booths you want them to choose as choices. So let's say I want them to pick 3. So what they'll do is they'll pick 3, they'll go on and they'll pay, and then you will get an email and you will go assign them to the final 1 booth that you want them to be in. One important note about this type is that they cannot buy more than 1 booth in an order. So if they want to buy more than 1 booth, they will have to register twice. So they'll have to register the first time saying these 3 choices for my first booth, and then register again these 3 choices for my second booth, and so on. Another important note is that if you have this type of registration selected, if you have booths of different prices on your map, if their 3 choices include booths of different prices, they will be charged for the most expensive one. So even if you assign them to a cheaper booth, they will have paid for the more expensive one. So that one gets a little complicated. This is really only for certain cases in which you absolutely have to assign them yourselves and they can't assign their own. Most people go with this one. It's a lot simpler. They can buy more than 1 booth at once. So that's kind of my recommendation, unless there's some reason that you absolutely have to have this other kind. And you will get an email anytime anybody buys a booth. So if you need to move somebody, it's really easy to do. So we're going to choose this simple way. Buy the booth, automatically assigned on the map. Done. Step 2, required registration fields. So this is where you choose what information you need from them. They will automatically have to enter an email. So that's why that one's not on here, because you can't make it not required. So you're probably going to want them to have the company name at least, but anything else is up to you whether you require it or not. Even if you don't select these, they will have the option to enter them. You're just choosing here if they have to put it in order to complete their order. So I want them to have a public contact, first and last name, and I want to have for my records a first, last name, email, and phone number, so that if I need to contact them, I know that I have all that information. Step 3 is optional, custom registration questions. These are for if there's anything that you want to ask. For example, if you're serving a meal, you can ask a question like this: do you have any special dietary needs? So anything that you need to ask, you can ask it. The type of field that they will have to answer these questions is the same as this. So it'll just be a simple short text field. And you can enter up to 10 questions. Step 4, terms of service, also optional. So if you don't have a terms of service agreement, you can ignore it. If you do, you can paste it in here. Step 5, member pricing, also optional. You can turn it on here by selecting yes. And member code, this is the code that your members will have to enter in order to get the discount. You don't actually set up the discount here in registration, you set it up in booth types. So you can go watch our booth types video in order to get information for how to do that. But this is where you will turn it on and select the code. Step 6, custom checkout messages. These are also optional, but they are really, really useful. So this will show you all the steps of registration. That's what those little screenshots are. And it's showing you where these messages are going to show up. So these are just optional messages that you can add some additional information for your registrants if they need it. So this first one, for example, like the map will be here, and this is their cart on the right-hand side. So this yellow box is showing you where this message would show up. Same case for all of these. The yellow box is showing you where the message is going to show up. So you can enter those custom checkout messages if you would like, or you can skip it and move on to step 7, payment processor selection. This is how you get their money. So by default, it's set to no payment. So if you leave it like this, then no payment is taken online. You can invoice them on your own if you want, or whatever you want to do, but they will not be paying for the booze. Right now we have PayPal, Authorize.net, Moneris, and PayFlow Pro as our options, and when you select one, it will give you the instructions of what you'll need to put in here. Like for example, for PayPal, it's just the account email address. One note on payment processor selections: if you choose something like PayPal or one of these other options, but you don't put anything in here, registration will not work. You can't even test it, nothing, it will not work. So make sure that you put something in there or select no payment. Step 8, checkout payment options. This is also required. You can choose whether you want them to pay the full amount, pay a deposit, which is a flat fee, or a percentage. If you choose for them to pay just a deposit, they will have the option to go ahead and pay the full amount, but it will only require a deposit. So most people pay full amount, they just pay it all, and then you're good to go. If you choose pay deposit and they pay only the deposit, they don't choose to pay the full amount, there is not a way in our system to send them an invoice for the remainder. That will have to be something that is done outside of the system, just so you know, just so you're aware. Step 9, order notification settings. This one is kind of easy to miss, so make sure you take note of it. This order emails, this is probably your email address. This is the email address that all of the order confirmations will come to, so that you know when an order has been placed. This order message goes out on the order confirmation to all of your exhibitors. So if there are any other instructions you need to give them or anything like that, you can put that in there. Registration will not work if you do not have an email address in here in this order emails. You can also send it to more than one email address. So if this needs to go to Spence and myself, I would separate it by commas. And there we go. Now Spence and I will get these emails when somebody registers. Step 10, additional checkout settings. There's just one here. All it does is it turns off the ability for exhibitors to search through previous registrations. There's a feature when they're checking out, they can search for themselves and autofill all of their contact information. If you don't want that on, you can select yes to hide it. Default is set to no. They can search for themselves and put in all their old information if they've registered before. So once you've done all 10 steps, or at least the ones that are required, you'll click Update Registration Settings. And then to go to registration, you're going to go to Show Setup and Settings, Show Profile Settings, and you'll see this online registration link has now appeared now that I've turned on registration. So I can click that, and I will be taken to the registration map. One way to know that registration is working is this box will pop up. If this box does not pop up when you are at the registration link, then you know it's not working right. So let's get started. So now you can see I've assigned a couple booth types to my booths, so I can put those in my cart. So I'm going to buy this booth and this booth. So I'll put them in my cart, I continue to check out. It shows what's in my cart. If you had a description for your booth, it would show here. Next. Company name. So they fill out all this information, and it has the required fields that I asked for. It requires first name, last name, email, phone for administrative information because that's what I selected. And this is that search feature that I was talking about. So they can search for their company name, and if they've registered before, it'll show it. If not, it'll just show that, or they can go ahead and type it all in. I'm going to do that now. And click Next. This is where your additional questions will show up. So now you can see it's just a field. There is not a way to require them, but they will have the option to. Next. I don't have online payment selected right now because I wanted to show this to you without paying money. So you can see that my booths, that's my total. You can see all my information, make sure it's correct, and then I would check out. If you're accepting payment, that would have been before this. It would have had a payment page, and then that's my order confirmation. You can see this message here is that confirmation message that I typed in my registration settings. So they'll see it here, but they'll also get it in their email. The email is just a copy of this page. So that is how you set up registration. Make sure when you're sending the link out to your exhibitors that you send them this link that has register at the end, not the public one that doesn't have anything at the end. Because that one's for your attendees and this one is for your exhibitors. So again, if it doesn't have this box, that is not the correct registration link, or registration is not fully set up. And that's it for registration. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us. Thanks.